October 30, 1969, two friends are cycling through the woods on their bikes somewhere in North Carolina. They find the body of a young man named Chase Andrews in a marsh in the wood. They call the police. When Sheriff Jackson and Deputy Perdue arrive, they believe Chase fell from a high spot, or someone may have pushed him. The marsh girl, a young woman by the name of Kia, is suspected of Chase's death. When Kia discovers that people are looking for her, she attempts to flee, but Jackson and other cops ride by the marsh and capture her. Tom Milton, a lawyer, meets Kia as she is detained. He informs her that he must first understand who she is in order to assist her. Before Tom leaves, Kia starts talking and sharing her story. Back in 1952, Kia was raised by her mother and her elder siblings, Murph, Mandy, Missy, Jody, and their abusive father. The family begins slowly to leave the house as they can no longer stand him. Mother goes first. Later, Murph, Mandy, and Missy do the same, and Jody finally departs. He advises Kia to go if she needs to where the crawdads sing, but Kia insists on waiting in the hopes that Ma could return. When her father is not abusive toward her, Kia spends time fishing with him. She begins gathering feathers and seashells with the knapsack her father gave her. She meets a youngster named Tate Walker, who lives close to the marsh, and they become friends. When Kia enters the town, the only people who are kind to her and do not make fun of her messy look are the shopkeeper Jimmy Madison and his wife Mabel. She provides Kia with new clothing and urges her to go to school. Kia tries to learn, but the other students insult her for her looks, so she leaves and never returns. When Kia gets home, she discovers a note from Ma, but Pa snatches it, reads it, and then burns it, so Kia won't know what it says. Kia is abandoned by her father when he goes back to drinking, leaving her home alone. At present, the Andrews family's attorney does his best to defend Kia against the widespread condemnation she has already received due to public opinion and persistent allegations about her character. Tom does his best to reassure Kia and show that there is no solid proof that she is to blame for Chase's death. Back in 1962, Kia grew older and started painting shells and other items she would discover in the marsh. She meets Tate, who welcomes her and helps her read and writes to document her findings. He also pushes her to submit her writings and drawings to publishers. Tate shares his story about his mother and sister as the two get closer. Tate and Kia had their first kiss by the river after falling in love, but Tate changes his mind out of concern that he could further devastate Kia's life. Tate has been admitted to college, meaning he will be away from Kia for an unknown time. She is unhappy but lets him stay with her for one more night. Eventually, Kia is angry with Tate for leaving her. Back again to 1965, Kia and Chase cross paths as they are both with friends who come up to her and strike up a conversation. They start a relationship, and he takes her virginity. But their relationship is short, and Kia is unsatisfied. He brings her to the same tower where he was subsequently discovered dead. She then gives him a seashell necklace, which is later mentioned in the court case because it wasn't found on Chase's body when he passed away. She produced an official book, including her illustrations of feathers and seashells. She earned enough money to maintain and refurbish her home. One day Jody visits her. He tells her that he enrolled in the military and found her after he found her book. He claims to have lost touch with their other siblings and that he would be unable to identify them if he saw them. Jody also informs Kia that their mother attempted to reunite with them, but Pa threatened to beat them all if she returned. But finally, she died from leukemia. Later, when Tate returns from college, he hears Chase speaking vulgarly about Kia, and Jimmy stops them just as they are about to fight. When Tate goes to see Kia at home, she responds furiously and starts throwing pebbles at him. This continues until he apologizes and explains why he has been gone for so long. Kia decides to forgive him. While walking around town, Kia runs into Chase and wants to invite him home, but she learns he is dating and engaged to another lady. After a terrible interaction at the shop, Chase approaches her at her house and attempts to beat her. Chase tries to rape Kia when she slaps him back, but she smacks him in the face with a rock to stop him. She shouts out as she flees that she will murder him if he approaches her again, and a witness who overhears this later testifies to it in court. When Kia gets home, she discovers that Chase had arrived before and ruined the house. Kia receives an invitation to a dinner meeting with publishers around Chase's death time. Tom raises this issue in court, saying Kia's hotel was close to the bus stop. She could have sneaked out to lure Chase to the tower, killed him, and then returned, but it doesn't make sense for her to do so. Tom and the Andrews lawyer give their final statements just before the jury makes up their mind. The only ones there who support Kia are Tate, Jody, and the Madisons. Just before the decision is made, Kia maintains to Tom in her cell that despite the town's residents' terrible treatment of her, she never felt bad toward them. She also mentions to Tom that he was one of the few individuals who was kind to her. As a result of insufficient evidence, the jury declares Kia not accountable for Chase's death. Mrs. Andrews sobs as Kia's supporters cheer her, and the judge apologizes to Kia for the allegations. Kia and Tate go on with their romance and declare their marriage. They become a family. Kia writes other novels, and they attend Jimmy's funeral. Tate and Kia age together, and in Kia's last hours, she takes Tate's boat out into the marsh and seems to see her mother's spirits there as if she were greeting her in death. Later, Tate discovers Kia dead on the boat. After rummaging through her stuff, he finds a book with a poem in which she says, "Sometimes, for the prey to survive, the predator must die." He also found a sketch of Chase and the seashell necklace, with his blood, which shows that Kia actually did murder him. As the movie ends, we see Tate throws the seashell into the marsh to protect Kia's legacy. Thanks for watching. For more content, please subscribe to the channel.